Guys, AC here. Welcome to another review, fellas. And today I've got a modern masterpiece. Yeah, it is by Hermes and it's called Bel Ami Vetiver. Guys, this fragrance is based on an absolute masterpiece, classic masterpiece called Bel Ami, which was released back in 1986, I believe. This is a modern take on adding freshness to an existing classic and was released in 2013, and the parfumeur is Jean-Claude Ellena. And you know what? Everybody praises Jean-Claude Ellena. He's not my favorite. Reason being, and I want to be respectful to him, but the reason he's not my favorite is he's a minimalist. And when it comes to perfumery, I am from the old school. Old school French perfumery is what I'm attracted to most. And I quite like opulence in perfumery. I like the whole thing. And this guy is a minimalist, and if he's not careful, he'll soon start selling this in a perfume bottle. He just believes in watery fragrances, and watery fragrances or watered down fragrances like watercolor is something that I don't really enjoy. But of late, I've sampled a few of his work. Most of them, excuse me, are from the Hermessence line, and I must admit, I'm changing my opinion about Jean-Claude Ellena. So let's talk about Bel Ami. Since this is based on Bel Ami, Bel Ami is basically based on the yacht of a famous novelist, Guy de Maupassant. All of us, all across the globe, have read his short stories. Apparently his yacht was called Bel Ami. I do not know how the yacht sort of is a photorealistic representation of the fragrance called Bel Ami, but I'll tell you what Bel Ami is. Bel Ami currently, in its current formulation, is a shadow of its former self, so I didn't bother with it. So Bel Ami is a leather chypre, and it's basically one of the most finest interpretations of Russian leather for men's fragrances. Now, Russian leather has been very famous since the 1920s when it was used in Cuir de Russie by Chanel. There is another Creed by the same name, which I haven't sampled. So Russian leather was in vogue when it comes to perfumery, and how it smells like is it's very elegant, sharp, and soft at the same time, and it's basically very birchy. Russian leather is quite birchy, and it has a slight dose of, I believe, castoreum. But here in this fragrance there is no castoreum, there's civet. So yeah, that's the summary. The scent itself was an absolutely fantastic leather, which was very warm and dry, and it had nuances of fruits. Most importantly, it has a coconutty vibe, which I find amazing in the classic Bel Ami. So let's start with modern Bel Ami Vetiver, which is based on, as I said, Bel Ami. Now, what did Jean-Claude Ellena do? You know what he did? He went on a holiday and he took the classic Bel Ami with himself. And he lived and breathed it for a moment, and he created this new incarnation, which I think is a modern masterpiece. Oh, it is absolutely beautiful. What you smell initially is a huge blast of very fresh, spicy leather. Very fresh. So, and the kind of freshness that you would get in bergamot. But they have done a very clever thing here. It's still dry, it's very dry, and the leather is just vivacious, bright as a painting, Beautiful, what an opening, manly, dry, vivacious opening, bright as sunlight. So the notes that I can smell are lovely, beautiful bergamot combined with elemi. That's what gives it that lemony brightness, and it's balmy as well, but it's not wet, damp, it's dry. Superb leather, superb. And along with that superb leather is a slight dose of spice, most probably cardamom, because cardamom is in the notes, and slight hint of sage. So slightly spicy, but bright leather. That's what you smell. Stunning, man. There is no trace of vetiver at the moment, but it's stunning. It's from the very go, it's an elegant, beautiful manly fragrance. Extremely elegant. The middle of the fragrance and the end of the fragrance is more or less the same. So there's not much of an evolution. But what happens, and this is about 3 hours dry down. What happens in the middle of the fragrance is it brings in vetiver and it brings in sort of a 70s carnation. Yeah? So it keeps the manly edge. And it's sort of an edgy fragrance. It is what you call a classic chypre, but it's woody in nature, dry and woody. Vetiver is woody, sprightly. It actually is green and later on it turns woody. So green vetiver, which is woody in nature, with carnation and slight hint of animalic leather. Hint. That's what you get. Slightly animalic. But the opening, I wish the opening lasted a bit longer. That's my only regret when it comes to this fragrance. But yeah, all in all, this is how it starts. Starts like a leather, bright leather fragrance, which has slight hints of spices. Dries down to a predominantly vetiver leather with slight animalic notes. Yeah, very slight, very, very slight. And slightly waxy, but dry. This is the important bit I want you to remember. It's a dry fragrance with warmth. So there's a little hint of styrax and amber as well. So there's a little warmth in this fragrance. Hence, it's very suitable for this sort of weather, autumn, slightly coolish weather. I enjoy it in any weather, but I think in summer I would stay away. So that's the fragrance in a nutshell, if that makes sense. It's really sophisticated. So good points and bad points, yeah? Pros and cons. So number one pro is it's taken a classic fragrance and it hasn't distorted that classic but added a modern sort of angle to it. So it's like a good fusion of something that everybody loves and respects and brings in some bright new elements in terms of vetiver, a little bit of spices. It's beautiful and removes the patchouli. The original had a patchouli, massive patchouli. That patchouli is gone, but amplified is the carnation. So it's a beautiful fusion, if you like, or an interpretation of an absolute classic. For example, a modern painter comes up and draws a current interpretation of Mona Lisa. That's what I'm talking about. And it's very hard to do, at least with success. That's the biggest pro. You're smelling a classic scent. Even the current Bellamy doesn't smell this good. That's all I like to say. It's that good. So classic combined with something modern. Beautiful. Very, very good. Very artistic. The second pro is how elegant it smells. This is an elegant, charming, sophisticated sort of a scent. You know, I really like such fragrances because I like to wear my fragrances to work. And when you wear something as elegant as this, you know, you're bound to be noticed. It's basically one fragrance that people smell and think you're wearing something expensive. So that brings me to the third point, the value for money. This thing, you know, you can buy, if you look around, you can buy for about 60, 65 pounds. If you go to Hermès official website, this is 100 ml 85. You can get it for less. For 60, I got it for 55. I mean, for 55 pounds, you can't get such a fragrance. It is impossible. This is not complex, but this is very, very high quality. So, great bang for buck. Yeah, very good value for money. The fourth pro would be the performance. This has got superb performance. At least 8 hours, at least. Slightly temperamental, depending on your skin chemistry, this can vary between 8 and 12, but I consistently get 8 hours. Performance is fantastic. But sillage and projection is probably low to mediocre. Yeah? This becomes a skin scent after about 1 hour, and it remains a skin scent for as long as you don't take a shower. So it's a quiet scent, but this is supposed to be an elegant masculine. So it is quiet for a reason. If this was a very screamy, loud leather, people would struggle. So it's a quiet scent, but that might displease a few people. So those are the pluses, if you like. Strong longevity. Now, let's come to the downside. The downside would be, for such a nice fragrance, Such a beautiful fragrance. You would want at least a strong sillage. The sillage is medium as well. So I've tried it many times under my shirt and I don't get the wafts of it as I would like to have because I love this fragrance. I have to really put my nose onto my hands and smell it. I love this fragrance. I absolutely adore it. I would have loved to have a little bit more sillage. So it's slightly weak on the sillage and the projection department. That's one. Second would be, I think, the lack of versatility. I don't think you would love this fragrance. If you like your leathers, if you like your classic fragrances, you would love it. But you can't wear this to dress down because this is way too elegant, way too classy to be worn on a t-shirt. You can, but it'll really not fit in with the attire. You have to be slightly formally dressed, and it has to be a formal occasion as well. This is very formal. It smells really classy. So those are the two downsides, if you like: lack of versatility and lack of projection and sillage. Age groups. This is a mature scent, so I would say 35 plus would be ideal. Yeah. And in terms of weather, cold weather. That's what I would say. Yeah. I don't think this will work in hot weather or warm weather. So, marks out of 10. All in all, a very solid 8 out of 10. A beautiful interpretation of a classic, very well done. I'd call this a modern masterpiece. You know, something released in 2013. This doesn't belong in 2013. And for so little money, you won't get a scent which is as creative and as a high quality. Hermes, well done. Hope you like the review, fellas. Take care. Bye-bye.